What is the goal of your campaign? What's your goal? If your goal is to sell books, that's fine. But Grail pointed this out. You know what? You should never, ever, 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 ever sell your book. You should sell what your book will do for your audience. So figure out what your goal is. You know, for some of you, you might be speakers. You might be consultants. You might be, you know, building some kind of community online, and your book becomes your business card. So figure out what your goal is. You know, you really want to, the thing about marketing is you want to be very, very clear on what you're going to accomplish. There's a couple reasons for that. First off, you're going to save yourself a lot of time. If you get these questions out of the way early on, you know, why am I really here, right? It's one of those cosmic sort of, why am I on this planet questions. If you identify that early on, you're going to save yourself a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of misdirection, right? The other thing is that we did a number of years ago, we did a study, sort of informal study, and we found that authors will typically market themselves for 90 days. That's it. On that 91st day, they're generally discouraged, broke because they've spent all their marketing dollars in the first 90 days, discouraged. Did I mention that? Because they're just, you know, because there's so much to do. I mean, how many of you that have registered for any kind of a conference or anything like that, all of a sudden you're getting all these emails and all this mail and all this stuff, and we're going to get you on Oprah before she closes her show down. You know, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. You know what, I got to tell you, you can't do it unless you know what your focus is and unless you have a platform. Your platform is not who you know, but who knows you. It could be your mailing list. It could be the people that come to your website. It could be subscribers to your blog, to your RSS feed. It could be your Twitter followers. But your platform will help you to not only sell this book, but to sell your next and your next and your next. Okay? So really identify your platform. It could be your speaking. I mean, for me, you know, my platform it's a combination of, you know, the newsletter that we have, the people who read the blog, the Twitter followers, the speaking, the business. You know, my books are my business card, right? So when I promote myself, I do it differently. I do it with the emphasis on, you know, the company, as opposed to the emphasis on, wow, I have this really groovy book. Okay, so you really want to make sure and identify your focus. And you know, the internet really requires that you be very, very focused, because the last thing that you want to do is do a whole bunch of work online with the wrong goal. Google, which pretty much runs the world now, right? I mean, I think by this time next year we'll be talking about the bank of Google, right? I mean, Google is our at the rate that banks are going, Google is the number, 78% of us default to Google as our search engine. So when we look at how well a site is doing, we tend to identify that within, you know, Google's parameters. If you have a website and you think, why is my website not showing up in search engines? Why is my website not showing up with keywords? Why am I basically just not showing up anywhere? Google looks for a couple of things when they look for a good site. They look for a site that has a lot of content. Okay, we're going to talk about content creation in just a second. They look for a site that has a lot of high traffic, high quality incoming links. Okay? And they look for a site that's updated frequently. Now I'm going to tell you how to accomplish all three of these very, very easily, because many of you who have websites may have web designers that are MIA. Right? They are 12 and they went back to school this year, and now you don't know how to get a hold of them, right? Your blog. A blog is a great way to add content to your site, and every time that you update your blog, it pings the search engines and tells them that you have fresh content on your site. There's one trick to this though. Your blog has to be hosted where your site is hosted. That means that when I go to your blog, I don't want to go to susieauthor.blogspot.com. I want to go to susieauthor.com and click on blog and have it be right there. The reason for that is because when the blog is hosted at another place, at another site, like WordPress or Blogger, who's getting all the traffic? Right, exactly. So make sure it's very simple to do. And this is the only time that you may need to wrestle that 12-year-old out of school and get him to pull this site in. It's very easy to do. If your web designer comes to you and says, that's very complicated and really expensive, go find yourself another web designer. We had it done, I think it was $100. Okay, so it's really not that hard to do. Updating your blog frequently will add content to your site. And as I pointed out, it will ping the search engines every single time that you do that. And it says, whoop, this site's just been updated. Okay? Remember when we talked about going on blogs and starting conversations there? Every time you do that, how many of you have ever commented on a blog? Okay, so you know that when you do that, you generally have to register somehow and put your URL in. Do you know what that URL is? That's an incoming link into your site. Every time you post on a blog. And if you're going after the top 5 blogs in your area, you're now going after blogs that are getting a lot of traffic. So now you have satisfied all of Google's needs. And if you keep doing that, just these simple things, your site's going to start to come up. Not all, not overnight, but it will happen. Okay? I tested this on a site. We had a publisher come to us with a title that I guess somebody at some point forgot, because they came to us, no kidding, 5 days before the book launch and said, this was a major publishing house who also shall remain nameless. And they said, we need an internet campaign for this book. I said, oh, when? Right, this was in the winter, I'm thinking the spring or something, right? He said, 5 days. Well, where's the website? Don't have a website, but we need it to show up in Google. Generally speaking, when you put a new site up in Google, it will take about 3 months for Google to sort of see it, okay? With what I'm talking about today, and I blogged 2-3 times a day. I actually did this myself because I said, oh, this is one of those nightmares where I didn't sleep for 3 days, literally. After 3 days, the website showed up in Google. It absolutely works. We have tested this over and over and over and over again. Okay, so content creation, right? Going out and starting conversations elsewhere. When you talk about internet marketing, you're really talking about pull marketing. You're pulling people into your website. There are 2 types of marketing, push marketing and pull marketing. Push marketing is the old marketing. That's where we push our message out via press releases that we fax to people who never read them. Okay? Where we send endless emails to hundreds of thousands of people who never read them, or they don't make it past the spam filters. By the way, our SEM expert also predicted 2 years, email will be dead. And have we not already seen this? The guy who came in today with the store with the book, he said, I asked if I could come in early to see if you could autograph this book and you never responded. I never got the email. Like it's sitting somewhere in my spam filter, or maybe didn't make it past my ISP server, who knows? And think about this. And Wall Street Journal actually about 6 months ago did an article on the fact that email is dead. Think about this. How are people communicating now? Direct messages on Twitter, Facebook. I get emails on Facebook. I never thought I'd get that many emails on Facebook, right? Direct messages, people writing on my wall on Facebook. I mean, people are communicating with me in all different text messages, right? So pull marketing is where you're pulling people into your site. It's also a much better way of getting qualified buyers to your website on a consistent basis. Because think of your website as, again, as a store, which hopefully it is. Every one of those incoming links is a highway. It's a highway to your store. It's direct access to you. And those highways, unless the website that you're linked to goes down, those highways never go away. But if you're in the New York Times on Sunday, you're probably archived online and somebody has to pay to see you, but generally speaking, you're gone. And I'm not trying to dissuade you from being in the Times. Mind you, I wouldn't turn down an interview either. But what I'm saying is you want to combine it. Don't put don't put all of your attention on that traditional media. The other thing too is if any of you aspire to getting on any kind of a major show, even a regional show, they're all looking for people. They're looking for original stories, right? Because the market is so competitive now, and they're looking for these people, stories that are buzzing online. And frankly, a lot of markets, and Phoenix is one of them, is turning into a paid-for-placement market, meaning that people that you see on these shows now, on all your morning shows, they're paying to be there. Isn't that scary? I mean, remember when you pitch yourself to TV and you were a guest, an actual guest? Now you're paying $1,500 to be there. Shoot, anybody can be there. I'm really not kidding you. Phoenix is one of the top 10 markets, is one of the first markets to implement that. Yeah, I ran into that a few months ago. It was a little shell shock.